As a professional painter, you know your customers want a flat finish, but don't want to pay the price of fighting dirt, grime, and scuffs. Use new Bare Ultra Scuff Defense from the Home Depot for a beautiful flat finish, plus stain and scuff defense. And that price starts at just $29.60 a gallon, and that's before the Pro Extra discount. A flat paint that's too tough to scuff. Bare Ultra Scuff Defense, only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Available online and in select stores.
Welcome to the Vibe Within podcast. I'm your host, Gab Cohen. Each week, we will connect through stories and conversations about wellness, yoga, addictions, spirituality, mental health, rituals, and everything in between. The goal is to transform our traumas into strengths to create the change we desire in our lives. My mission is to help others by shining awareness on real-life topics so we can learn new ways to heal physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whatever you are going through in this moment, you are not alone, so let's connect and heal our vibe within.
This city once sparked a divinity within me. Alright. This city once sparked a divinity within me.
All right, hey guys, welcome back to the Vibe Within podcast. I'm your host, Gab Cohen, and this is the last episode of 2020. So, obviously, I don't need to tell you how crazy 2020 was, and quite honestly, a lot of the episodes that I've been hearing coming out around this time of year are just very blasé, and I don't need to tell you that 2020 was intense, and I also don't need to sit here and tell you what I learned because I don't really think you're interested in that. I'm here to deliver messages and questions and lessons that are happening in the collective right now. And the way that I know this is because my clairvoyance shit has been skyrocketing. Maybe you're dealing with this too, some migraine stuff, ascension stuff. And if you are a clairvoyant, intuitive, empath, you are definitely feeling these things right now. This time of year can be very pressure cooker type energy. We're all on social media. We're all watching what other people are doing around the new year, or what their intentions are, or how their business is going, or how beautiful their life is. But remember, social media is just a highlight reel. You don't need me to tell you that. You already know this, but it's just a reminder. I don't really want to boast about what I learned this year because this is about you, and I want this episode to serve you in a way that will help you tap into a new frequency of abundance, of creation, of passion, of, I just posted something on Instagram about how important creativity is. And I do have, this episode's going to be organized. I have notes, I promise. This isn't just me being fucking crazy sitting here with my microphone. I have notes. This episode's going to be really awesome because I've been getting a lot of downloads about sacred ritual and a lot of messages from spirit about what the collective is struggling with right now. So before I get into that, I was saying I posted something on Instagram about how important it is to tap into creativity and expression if you're healing from a toxic relationship. So if you are healing from a manipulative relationship, a narcissistic relationship, and you just feel like you've lost yourself, you feel like you're trapped in trauma and memories and angst and despair and all this shit that just can keep you chained to the past of what that relationship was, of what it took from you, of what it stripped from you, maybe usually a toxic relationship can take you so far away from your body, from your passions, from the things that bring you joy, your interests, all these things. And it can be a time of grieving, I'm grieving I'm grieving myself that I lost myself and now I have to like find her again. So maybe you're living in that energy, but basically it's so important to amplify your expression and creativity practice and just dive into that process, because that's what's going to heal your body and heal your mind. Expression of any kind. And it's funny because before I came on here to record this episode, I was feeling really resistant, and I usually don't. I feel, because I've been, writing notes, I've been getting all these downloads, and it's been overwhelming to the point where it's like, okay, I just need to go record the podcast. I can't sit here and think about it anymore. Because there comes a point, and this is actually a common thread which is happening in a lot of my clients that I've been having these healing sessions with and tarot readings, that they feel like overwhelmed, and they have this drive and passion to do more and to do things, to do new things, right? To create new things. Maybe, sometimes it's a little bit of what social media can plant in your brain, with what you should do and what other people are doing and whatever. And it's this energy of feeling content, like allowing ourselves to feel content and allowing ourselves to not get so washed away and swept up with the self-betterment, the hyper-productivity, the creating this, the creating that. I want to write this, I want to write a book, I want to create a podcast, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the collective right now is really struggling because, and especially the spiritual collective, because deep down, that rest, digest, really healing the nervous system is important in order to create, in order to connect with your passions, in order to connect with a new level of success. It's really important and 100% necessary and needed to enjoy the bliss of just being content and enjoying what like success you have created for yourself already. So it's this constant pull that that we're feeling from our soul and our ego. Our ego always wants us to create something or reach for something, like it's never happy in this moment. It's reaching for that cigarette or that joint or that food or sex or shopping or validation from someone or, words of encouragement from someone, which words of encouragement's great. But if we're counting on that in order to be content from within, then we're living in a frequency and an energy of lack, of not feeling stable internally. So basically it's these two energies of just the struggle between being content and, let's say, self-improvement or self-betterment or a hyper productivity energy. And it's like, where's the line? Where's the line between just allowing ourselves to melt in bliss and enjoy what we've created, rather than always leaning forward, always feeling like something is pulling us. And there's a difference between feeling pulled in a passionate and in alignment way, which is the voice of the Daemon, which I had talked a lot about on the most previous episode. So I recommend going and listening to that, because you guys were messaging me. I was getting so many reshares and messages about that episode. So I think it really resonated with a lot of you guys with this voice, this Daemon voice, is this voice of passion. And I need to do this because it's going to actually nourish my soul, right? It's not coming from a place of, oh, I should do this, or I need to do this because they're doing this. This Daemon voice has nothing to do with anyone else. It has to do with what's going to actually make you feel like you're expressing something in the way that your body, mind, soul, spirit needs. And that could be writing or dancing or journaling or, creating music or whatever, like recording your voice in your phone and just having it there, because there's something about speaking outwardly that cleanses what's stressing you out of your body. I'm going to say that again because that kind of, I've never like thought of it like that. So when you're speaking things out loud, whether it's to your therapist or you're making an iPhone audio note to someone or just to yourself because it's a private and personal inner inquiry, speaking the words out is what's going to cleanse that stress and cleanse and kind of give you a new perspective on it. Because when you speak those words out of your body, you're literally putting it out into the energy around you. That's going to help you process it, feel it, hear it, understand it, reflect from it right away instead of keeping it inward. And journaling is also a really amazing way of doing that. You know, if you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud all the time or making iPhone notes or whatever, I recommend journaling. I mean, you guys have heard me talk about journaling time and time again. I'm always talking about it on Instagram too. I have tons of notes here that I write in, you know, with my hands, and I have notes that I type in my iPhone notes. Whatever works for you, you know? But if you're going through your day and you're feeling like you need to get something out, or you have an epiphany or a download or something that is really rubbing you the wrong way, or an experience that happened, a conversation that happened, an experience you had with an Uber or a Lyft or someone you met that really made you feel good, like write those things down, because those things might actually be like information and stepping stones for you to use in the future with what you need to create. Or, you know, you never know why these things are happening. But basically, yeah, so what I was saying with my clients, and like the main theme, basically the two main themes right now with my clients that I've been noticing is that these people that I'm talking to are so passionate and they've created so much, and they actually, like, this year, like they've created so much that it's kind of making them feel like in order to feel good they have to keep that momentum up, which is the ego, you know. And the messages that always come through during these kinds of readings is do less, because that's quieting the ego, and then your soul is actually going to be coming back online. And basically it's like, you know, allow yourself to marinate in what you've created thus far. Because if we're always seeking the next thing that you have to do, like that's coming from an external place. The soul isn't going to keep nagging you, oh, you have to do more, you have to do more. Of course, you know, there's a time and place to do more because you need to make a living for yourself, like, obviously. So there's, you know, work and making money and paying the bills. We got to do it. But noticing where you're leaning forward, noticing where you're being dragged, noticing what's making you feel forceful, aggressive energy, like, oh, I have to do this, I should do this because I feel like if I do this, then I'll get this. That's all coming from like a dark kind of ego place. Usually the soul will communicate with us, and it usually doesn't have to do with money. That's the thing. It usually has to do with, I'm going to do this project because it's going to make me feel good. It's going to release something. It's going to release a burden. And this time of year, you know, New Year's resolutions and intentions and all that bullshit, that's also going to add to the pressure cooker energy. So right now is not really the time to add more burdens to your life. Right now is a time to really sit down inwardly and reflect on your priorities. You know, what are your priorities? What are your preferences right now in your life? What are your choices that you have? What are your options right now? Because if things aren't going as you'd like, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally, your living situation, your job, your relationship, whatever it is, that getting out of that, or getting out of a rut, or getting out of a place that you're just like not feeling that great about, that requires releasing the pressure, because adding more pressure and adding more expectations of yourself or adding more hyper productivity to your life is not going to help you actually change your life and get out of a dark place. Or, I would like to rephrase this time of year. Instead of New Year's goals or New Year's resolutions, how about we just call it life preferences and changes and priorities and compromises? It's not about New Year. Like, time is fucking elusive, and everything is timeless right now. Time doesn't matter. It's just numbers. It doesn't matter. But if we look at it in the sense of, how can I change my life so that I feel like I'm being heard and I'm being helped and I'm being supported and I'm expressing myself, and I'm releasing things, I'm releasing burdens, how can you do that? Like, I think adding things that we want to do is actually just going to stress us out more. And of course, I'm going to get deeper into this. Like, there are things that we can add, small things we can add that will completely change our life. One is, if you don't have a therapist and you've been feeling like you're lacking support in your life and you really want more support in your life, maybe that's been something you've been putting off and you've been procrastinating. So maybe it is time to add something in your life. Like, what can you add in your life that's going to actually enhance your mental health? Not something that's going to stress you out, like, oh, I have to work out to feel better mentally or emotionally. Like, going for a walk is, perfect. And I'm going to get more into that a little bit later, because this time last year, I was addicted to cardio, addicted to the sauna, and I was overworking my body to the point where it was stressing me out more, and my adrenals were shot, my digestion was shot, I had the worst acne I've ever had in my life, I had Hashimoto flare-ups, I had thyroid shit, hormones, and I'm still healing. I'm not fully healed, but when I tell you less is more, it really, really is, especially in the physical activity realm. Like, what works for your body is not going to work for everybody's body, and vice versa. What works for everyone's body isn't going to work for yours. So this is a time to really sit down and ask yourself what your priorities are, what your preferences are, what choices you have, what options you have around you. Because, for example, I had to really sit down with myself and ask myself, do I really want to live in California anymore? Like, do I actually really want to? Or am I feeling pressure from, people in my life saying, yeah, you're so Cali, Cali's great for you. I'm sure you love it. And it's like, yeah, I do love it. I moved out here. It was temporary. Everything's temporary. And I moved out here with 2 suitcases. I didn't bring everything. I brought just a minimal amount of clothes and things. And my sublease is up and I'm done, because California and LA in particular, everything's closed down. We're in another lockdown because of COVID. And at this point, it's getting ridiculous. So around the time that, I was thinking, like, do I want to get my own place here, or do I want to move back to Florida where all my things are and reset and whatever? All the external stuff kept coming through. Well, my cousins think that this is where I should live, and people on Instagram always message me and say, oh, you're so Cali, like, I'm sure you're loving it out here, blah, blah, blah. So those are all external voices telling me that if I don't live here, then people are going to think that I'm a failure, or I'm taking steps back, or whatever. And those are all ego thoughts, right? So if you're in a situation like that, you need to sit yourself down and ask yourself, well, where are these perspectives coming from? Is it actually coming from, like, friends, family, external people you don't even know, people who you know on Instagram, that's it, like never had a conversation with them, never met them in person. Like, what the fuck does that matter? Like, obviously what truly matters is what feels safe and comfortable for you. And I like to call this energy silver platter energy, especially when you're moving, especially when you're making a big life change, right? Because at the end of the day, if you are creating more friction and resistance and making things more challenging for yourself, then that's going to be not an enjoyable transition. And transitions are everything. That's why I actually made this podcast. Was I was going through a transition physically, mentally, moving wise, emotionally, healing, everything. We're all going through transitions all the time. But the way that we can navigate ourselves through the transitions in a more effortless, seamless, less resistant way is really being honest and real with ourselves and saying, okay, well, what resources do I have? What choices? What am I willing to compromise? What am I willing to put away? What am I willing to do here in order to make my life, easy and effortless and feel good and feel in alignment? And sometimes that means making compromises. Like, for real, there was a big part of me that said, well, I don't really want to move cross country with 2 cats. That's not going to be fun. I would love to live in California, but there was a big part of me saying, what's the point right now? Everything's closed. You can't teach yoga. You can't go and do yoga. You can't go to a restaurant. It's like, there is no point, and that voice kept getting louder and louder and louder. Also, California is very expensive, and at this point, there is no reason for it. You can't even do anything here. And it's like, it's a cold, hard truth. And if there's anybody listening who lives in California or LA, I'm not dissing or I'm not talking shit about LA. I love it. I really do. I love the nature. I love Long Beach, which is where I've been living. I love hiking. I love the energy here. But at the end of the day, what I've noticed, especially with some people in my life, like my cousin, for example, she works so much to have her own apartment, and I look up to her. I really do. But she works so much, and for the price of her apartment, and she would agree, she tells me these things as well. She knows that she overworks, and even her boyfriend is like telling her that he wants her to work less, so it's something that's happening in the collective where we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what's the point of all this? And that's also another theme that's been happening in my work and with my clients is, what's the point? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are we all doing what we're doing? Why are you posting that on Instagram? Is it to actually help people, or is it to get attention and likes and follows and subscribes and whatever? It can be a very shadowy place when we ask ourselves those questions. Like I've been there, and I've said, oh, why did I post that picture of myself in a bikini? And there's light and dark to that. Well, I like the way that I look in this picture. For once, I like my body, because I deal with body dysmorphia and eating disorder stuff. And it's like being real and being like, okay, well, that's actually progress then. But then there are those times where I sit down and I'm like, why do I want to post this photo of me in a bathing suit or whatever? And it might come from an egotistical place because I know it might get me more likes or whatever. And I think everybody can relate to that, but this is kind of like taboo to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about, their work ethic on social media, which can be a really weird topic to be in, because it's like social media is something that some people, that's all they have. I was just talking to my therapist about this, and I was like, at the end of the day, especially now that I'm living in California and I'm like, I'm over it, because I don't have any like friends in real life really here. And I was telling her, like, all I have, on paper and whatever is Zoom recovery meetings, which is digital, right? I have the podcast, which is digital. I have Instagram, which is digital. And all these things are channels and portals for me to connect with people and express myself and help people, and also let people help me, right? But it's not physical, and it's behind a screen. And it's like, okay, so this is where I had to make those choices and those priorities and those compromise kind of sit down meetings with myself to journal and to meditate. And I've gotten a lot of messages and answers just by doing meditation and hiking and journaling. Literally those three things. That's the trifecta that I feel could completely change your life. And I'm sure you're already doing these things, but a little bit of movement, a little bit of breathing, a little bit of journaling, a little bit of meditation. Not a lot, just a little. A little bit of each of those creates this beautiful potion of what it is that your life is asking of you. And you extract all the answers, you extract all the downloads, all the messages, and all the things that feel right, that feel good to you from all of those practices. And then you know what you want to do. So, in this situation with moving, maybe you're in a situation like this. So I think many of you will resonate and relate that it's not easy moving cross country, or it's not easy moving to a new city, or in my case, I'm moving to Florida, which I was living in before. So it's nothing new, but it is stressful. It is nerve-wracking and whatever. But what's more nerve-wracking? And this is where the comparison and the choices and the preferences come in. What's more stressful? Living where you live and hustling and struggling, and you're really crunching it. You're really just trying to figure it out and nothing's working out. Maybe that's a sign from the universe. Maybe that's a sign from the universe that there's too much resistance there. The energy's not right there for you. Things aren't quote unquote working out in your favor. So there's another path for you. There's another path that's paved deeper and easier for you. And sometimes that path isn't the path that you thought you'd want, but then things start getting clearer and that voice starts getting louder and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand, Like when LA just went on all the new lockdowns, I was like, oh, that's now my decision's made even easier. Thank you, Spirit. Now my choices are loud and clear. I have a few real friends in Florida. I have my mom, who's one of the biggest supporters of my life. Although we do have a lot of issues, I do have a lot of mother wound shit, which I talked about in the most previous episode as well. So I think that would help you. If you're going through a lot of mother wound stuff and therapy and healing, I talk a lot about what's been helping me really heal that stuff with my therapist and what I've realized or I've had to do and all that. So going back to this energy of priorities, choices, compromises, and preferences. Asking yourself what's important, what truly matters. I'm not broke, like I'm saving money, but I've seen lots of people in my life here, and I've been in this situation, especially the first time I lived here. I was, this is 2012, when I moved to LA at first. I was broke. I couldn't afford food. I couldn't afford gas. I couldn't afford rent. Barely. I was scraping pennies. It was not a way to live. I was always worried about how I was going to buy food. I felt restricted. I felt like constantly someone was choking me and strangling me. That's not living in abundance. How could you live in abundance when you feel like that? And there is a way to live in abundance when you live in that frequency. There is, but it's just hard. It's so hard to get there. To live in gratitude and abundance when you're poor, that's not fun. And what's the reason? Is it because you feel like you should live in this city? You feel like you should do this because that's what other people are doing, and all the successful people live there. Or it's funny because if this resonates with you, go listen to the Joe Rogan episode where I think it's I don't remember. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes, but whatever. He's interviewing two people and they're restaurant owners, and they're talking about how silly this is, in LA. Everybody's just here, right? This is the place to live, but it's going to shit. And it's even more funny that now everybody's talking about moving to Austin, Texas, because now Austin, Texas is the new LA. It's like the new hub. And in Texas, there's no restrictions really. You can go out to eat. You can go to, you can go do a yoga class. You can live your life with a mask on and just live your life. So that's what I mean. And I'm thinking maybe this is a big channeling thing that's going on, because I feel like a lot of you guys are facing this question. Why the fuck am I living here? What's the point of all this? Maybe you're thinking about moving in with family again. Maybe you're thinking about downgrading, getting a smaller place, getting rid of your car, whatever. Downgrades are actually upgrades. Because if you're trying to save money and if you're trying to live in more of an abundance frequency and mindset, when you have less shit and less bills and less shit to pay for, or even like me, like for example, like I only have, a certain amount of clothing here because I was just subletting for these last several months. And I've realized, man, it feels good to just not have that many choices of what I'm going to wear. So I've been wearing the same outfits for 5 months. Nothing wrong with that. I'm probably going to get rid of so much shit when I go back to my mom's in Florida. I'm going to probably purge and get rid of stuff and sell stuff and give stuff away, and it feels good to do that. Moving is cleansing. Moving is timeline hopping. And I talk a lot about timeline hopping in a lot of these solo episodes. Timeline hopping is something that you do without even noticing, without even realizing it. When you create a new little life for yourself, a new chapter, new chapters, it's a new chapter, right? You hear that all the time. New chapter is new timeline. You're energetically, internally creating a new chapter within you, and that is externally creating a new energy and a new vibe in your life. Okay, so I want to get into, before I get into the sacred rituals and journal prompts and questions and all of that magic stuff, the other big theme here, as I take a little hit of my joint, hold on. I'm looking at my notes, so. The other theme that kept coming up in my clients' sessions is not feeling healed enough in order to help people heal. And let me tell you, if that was the case, if that was the rule if that was the prerequisite in order to be a healer, nobody would be a healer, because nobody is fully healed. People are really good at distancing themselves and separating themselves from the trauma that makes them feel like they're not healed enough. I think that's the thing, is that shamans and healers, they have different parts of themselves. Like, they have a way of creating an energy separation from the things that traumatize them and the trauma and the things that made them want to get into the industry of healing, right? So there's kind of this energy separation of feeling worthy enough, of course we're all going to feel like, oh, I'm not healed enough to help this person, or who am I? It's imposter syndrome. And there's moments where I feel imposter syndrome happening and rising up, and I have to remind myself, well, nobody's fully healed. Even therapists and energy workers and shamans aren't fully healed, but they have an amazing way of stepping into their healer archetype and embodying it and living it. And and not letting the voice inside, the self-limiting belief voice that we always talk about here, the self-limiting belief, the negative self-talk, the toxic narratives, all things that I talked about in the most previous episode. So I feel like this is kind of a sequel to that episode, right? So we're not being a slave or a victim to those self-limiting narratives. So, for example, one of my clients is very spiritual, very clairvoyant. The moment I saw her, I said, yeah, you're very powerful. And she's been having migraines and all these ascension things, all these downloads, and she's feeling overwhelmed, and she's feeling like, but I just want to help women. I just want to help women. And I said, well, first off, just by being you and just by having the energy you have, you are helping women. Like, she helped me feel good that night. Even though she was in a session with me doing a tarot reading, she was helping me by just being her, and I felt her healing energy transferred to me. So I think we lose this concept of how much we are actually doing for people, and a lot of this comes from external stuff like social media and Instagram and TikTok and whatever. Like, I recently had people ask me, oh, are you going to make a TikTok? And I'm like, and I thought about it, I really did think about it. And I had to really sit myself down and ask myself, what's the point? Why am I doing it? Why would I do it? Is it for likes? Is it for money? And I quickly realized that the only reason that I was maybe slightly interested in making a TikTok was to, gain a bigger following and get more podcast listeners or help more people, which is a good way of using TikTok. Like, how can I help people through these yoga videos, whatever. But at the end of the day, a TikTok video is 1 minute. That's all you get. At the end of the day, I had to ask myself, what is the point? I'm doing that on Instagram, and it's like, do I even like the energy of TikTok? And there are very cool things on there, but I had to just be real with myself and be like, is this coming from external people, and is this injected with shoulds and you should do this because maybe you'll make money and maybe you'll get more followers and blah blah blah. But it's like, do I really want that? And do I need to do it? Am I content with what I've created thus far? Am I content with the podcast that I've created and my Instagram and everything I'm doing thus far? Do I need to do more? And my soul said, no, you don't need to. Like, just do what you're doing right now and really submerge yourself in it, and give all of your energy to the three things, like your clients and the podcast and Instagram. Like, why do you have to add something else? And that comes from lack, feeling like you need to do something in order to get more attention or more followers or more money. That's coming from lack. So long story short, with this girl, one of my clients, she was like, I just want to help women. I just want to help women, but I don't know how. So we came up with a plan. You can do Instagram lives, you can text a friend, microdosing, helping people heal, right? How can you get a little hit of helping someone heal in a microdose way? Can you write somebody a beautiful email? Can you offer somebody a free session? Can you do a little giveaway on Instagram? Can you go Instagram live and talk about some of the downloads and talk about some of the things that you've been learning in a spiritual book that you've been reading? And that's going to help people, and that's going to also help get you more people who are in alignment to follow you, and to the more people that you can help heal. So it starts with the micro. And I gotta say, this year, putting on my blinders on social media and unfollowing and muting whoever the fuck I feel has been, it's just opened my life up. So if that's one thing that I share that I've learned this year, which isn't like your typical, like, oh, what did you learn this year? Oh, I learned that, I need to surrender. It's Instagram blinders. Put your fucking Instagram blinders on, please. Because if you are feeling distracted and pulled in a non-creative soul Daemon voice way, like that good inner voice, that passionate, that excitement, that joy, if you're feeling pulled in directions where you feel like you should do this and you should do that, definitely veer away from that. Putting on your blinders is actually opening up a portal for your life. The less people I see doing things and boasting about it, and for example, I follow Cassie Ho, who's the creator of Blog Pilates, Pop Pilates, amazing instructor. I love her. I love her energy. I love her. And this is vulnerable, me sharing this, because this is kind of embarrassing. But what I noticed is that in her stories, she just kind of boasts about her success. And that's coming from a place of my own shadow, all right? Like, there's plenty of people who look at her stories who don't get that vibe. But for some reason, I just feel like she's so successful already. She has over 1 million followers. She has like 3 million followers on YouTube. She's rich. She's always posting videos and stuff of her in her mansion, making yummy treats. And she's just a vibrant person, and her energy is beautiful. But I started to realize, okay, when I'm looking at her stories, I'm feeling shitty about myself. I'm feeling shitty, like I'm not doing enough. So that energy is not a fun energy to live in. So if you're living in a frequency of comparing yourself to what other people are doing, that's going to take away from what success and what gifts and messages and what services you have to offer. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. It's going to steal what abundance and what, victories you have created for yourself. This is a time to live and feel and experience your victories. 2020 is not, it hasn't been easy. And I think if we go into 2021 with this energy of lack or needing to do more or needing more, it's not going to be enjoyable. And I don't think that 2021 is going to be like a save all, cure all year. It's obviously probably going to be better than 2020. Let's just put it that way. But I think if you go into 2021 with social media blinders and you really hone in on what's going to make you feel good, that's the most important thing. And that brings me right into some questions that helped me and my clients kind of get through to the other side here and say, all right, what truly matters? What actually truly matters? Is it making that Instagram post or making that podcast because I feel like I should, because other people are doing it and because podcasts are so in right now? Like, that's the thing, is we have to ask ourselves, why do I want to do this? Is it because of money? Is it because of this? Is it because of that? Do I want more? Do I want more? Do I want more? What's going to make me feel good? So ask yourself, what's going to make you feel good? And doing these small things that make you feel good. For example, this other client who's really focusing on her career and like really, really hyper focused on her career and wanting to do more, and she's already done so much. She has a practice, she has amazing clients, she's a therapist. And I was like, okay, but why can't you just let yourself enjoy what you've created? And, instead of focusing on. So I don't know about you guys, but it seems like the older I get, the more of a tomboy I become. But at the same time, no matter how tomboyish I feel, I still need quality makeup, and I definitely still want to feel glammed up, especially during the holidays. Even if you're alone this holiday season, it doesn't mean you have to just hang out in your pajamas. You can still dress up, you can still put on makeup and feel good about yourself. Thrive Cosmetics is a new beauty brand that I discovered, and they have high performance award-winning products that are both vegan and cruelty-free. And as you guys know, I'm vegan, so that's kind of important to me. I don't want to be putting, products that have come from an animal on my face. It just, I don't know, just kind of grosses me out when I think about it. But I like to keep it simple, especially since I'm still healing my hormonal acne. And what I do love to do is always enhance my eyes, because it always makes me feel good when I just put in a little bit of effort into my eyes. And a lot of you guys have actually commented on some of my pictures of my eyes. I've always been obsessed with mascara. I've always been a mascara junkie. So when I found Thrive Cosmetics, I was really, really happy with the mascara they have. It's the award-winning mascara, and a lot of the holiday sets right now actually come with a free tube of it. It's called the Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara, and honestly, this mascara it's bomb. I mean, I think the main thing with mascara is that the brush needs to be legit, and this is like a really, really nice brush, and what it basically does is it makes you look like you're wearing kind of fake lashes, but they look natural. They're flake-free, smudge-free, clump-free. I love it. The packaging is really nice and sleek. And I also like the Brilliant Eye Brightener, which is really, really easy to use. It makes such a huge difference just by putting it in the corners of your eyes, and it just brightens up your entire eye. And that's all I've been using recently is just the eye brightener and the mascara. If I'm just like running errands, or if I'm going to the grocery store or whatever, this is a very simple way to brighten up and enhance your eyes. So if you're a mascara junkie like me, definitely give Thrive Cosmetics a try, because you will absolutely love it. And with every purchased product, Thrive Cosmetics is helping women in need to thrive by donating funds and products. I really like that. I feel like we need to be more mindful of where we're putting our money and our energy. So start thriving and help women in need today by going to thrivecosmetics.com/vibe for 15% off of your first purchase. That's Thrive, CAUSEMETICS.com/vibe for 15% off. thrivecosmetics.com/vibe. I want to make a podcast, but it's just stressing me out. Then why don't you focus on being a guest on other people's podcasts and organically build your Instagram? And also, the other also that comes in here is, can you have fun with it? With whatever you're doing, not just about this client, but whatever you're doing, because at the end of the day, if you're not having fun, that energy of go, 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 I need success, not saying that this client is in that energy at all, but there are people like that, and it's like we have to ask ourselves, well, why do I feel so pressured? Why do I feel so yanked in this direction because I feel like I should, Can you have fun with it? Because the more fun and the more ease and the more grace and the more just easy energy you have, that's welcoming. People want that. People don't want to be around someone who's just like a workaholic, making them feel less than, making them feel like they're not doing enough. Like the whole thing with how I had to mute Cassie Ho on Instagram, which is really embarrassing because she's such a beautiful person and very vulnerable, but I just felt like it wasn't serving me to watch her stories anymore. So let's get into some New Year's sacred rituals that we can do. And I'm going to start with making lists. So not intention lists, not goal lists, not New Year's resolution lists of things that you want. This is a different kind of list. This is a list where you talk about or journal or write actually in list form things that you did last year that were toxic, or experiences that happened in 2020 that were toxic, things that happened that really fucked you up. And then you're going to make a list of where you're at now and all of the beautiful healings and changes in your body, physically, emotionally, things you're proud of. So, and then you compare those two lists. So, for example, this time last year, I was addicted to cardio. I was doing way too much cardio. I was doing eating disorder behaviors that were not good. My digestion was fucked. My skin was the worst it ever looked in my life. I was depressed. I was living in Philadelphia, which I hated. I had roommates I didn't like. I was cold all the time and I hated living there, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Fast forward to now, and I'm making a list like this, and I'm writing, wow, I moved. I changed my life. My digestion's better. I'm not doing cardio like I was anymore. And with moving less, I've actually healed my digestion, so it's better. I'm healing my injuries, like my hip stuff. My right hip is always fucked up. My skin looks better than it ever has. It's these small things that maybe we forget about, maybe we're so wrapped up in all the crazy bullshit that's been going on, and how we really want to change things, and we get wrapped up in that, and then we forget, but wow, like underneath it all are things better. Maybe they're not better. Maybe for you they're not that better. Maybe they're worse. But underneath that worse energy, there are a few things that are better in your physical, in your emotional. There's gotta be one or two. There is. I know for sure there is. And this is the practice. This is extracting the amazing small victories that we, that go left unnoticed. And then they leave us, and then they're just gone, and then we forget that we even did that, and we forget how much progress that we've actually made. And that's taxing to the soul, because it's like, wow, like, our bodies and our souls are just constantly working. The body never turns off. We sleep, but it's always working for us to keep us alive. And we get lost in the hustle and the bustle and social media and work and making money and bills and fixing up our lives and becoming a better person, right? We're all, every podcast you listen to is about healing and whatever. Like in my perspective, that's what a lot of podcasts are about. This podcast is about healing, but I try to not make it like, you got to change. Because there's a lot of podcasts that make you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not changing enough, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, biohack this, biohack that. And at the end of the day, less is more. Enjoying the moment really goes a long way, because that nourishes happiness, contentment from within. And that allows us to live in a frequency of not feeling rushed or forced or restricted, or being more connected to our body and to our mind. That's the goal, because then we succeed in all areas of our life, not just money, but, like when we have to make choices and compromises around this time of year or any time of year, we know what we want. We hear that voice. We hear that strong authority of spirit telling you, this is what you got to do. Yeah, it might suck. Choices, compromises, that whole thing. That's what's going to actually help us. So making these lists, process lists and progress lists, victories, mental health progress, lean into that stuff. So that's a beautiful way to start your New Year's Eve kind of sacred ritual, is by just writing a list like that, because then you can actually get some, like, a larger lens view of like, oh wow, like, fuck yeah, awesome. Even if it's just like, oh, I I decided that I was going to drink more green juice this year, and I have, and or maybe you decided that you were going to go to one support group every week, and you've, added that to your therapy support system. Getting real with ourselves and just allowing, when you feel like you're being pulled into that battle of contentment or success, and creating and hyper productivity from like a lack ego mindset, catch yourself where you are, and then come back to where you are. Come back to where you are, because keeping it simple is the best, and less is more around this time of year. You don't need more pressure cooker energy, right? Another way to begin your sacred ritual evening, or whatever you're doing, to connect to your soul and your body, is creating an altar, creating a sacred space, creating a safe space that makes you feel good. Doesn't have to look like people's on Instagram, doesn't have to look like mine, doesn't have to look like your sisters, your neighbors, that girl you follow on Instagram, doesn't have to look like anybody's. None of that even matters. Again, what truly matters, what makes you feel good, is, organizing some items that make you feel good, that make you feel safe, photos of people, photos of loved ones, crystals, books that have helped you, notes that you've written, notes from people that they've sent to you, anything that has spiritual value. You create an altar around that. And you can also make a protection jar if that's something you're into. What you do is you get an empty jar, or even like an empty candle jar, and you fill it with a piece of your hair. You can spit in it. You can add nails and screws, because this is a protection jar. So what it basically does is it signals to the universe and to your spirit guides and to source that you are creating a portal in that jar that is protecting you from dark entities or just not good intentions and whatever. So you can even write a note to yourself and fold it up and put it in the jar. You can put flowers in there. You can put anything in there. You can put CBD in there. You can put some essential oil in there. You're basically making a protection jar of things that are yours, things that, remind you of you. Piece of your hair, obviously. I really recommend doing that part. And then you keep it by your altar, and you just know that within that little portal of a jar is things that are going to protect you. So that's also an option. I always like to burn candles, and I always like to start a new journal around the new year. Even though I'm not finished my journal right now and I still have like a good amount of pages left, I'm thinking that I'm going to actually start a new one. And I always have like extra journals lying around, because I actually find journals at the thrift store too. But if you're looking for a really like statement piece journal, you can get the Vibe Within journal, which is a custom wooden made journal, handmade from Drama Mama Bookshop. I'll put that in the show notes, but it's 100% custom handmade wooden journals, and you have the option to actually make it a 2021 planner, or you can just have, normal paper, lined, dotted, or plain paper inside of it. So if that's something if you need something physical that literally is like something new to go into the new year with, I recommend getting a new journal, and if you do get the Vibe Within journal, which I'm not pressuring you to do, you also get a free class of mine, which is a virtual online yoga class, and you get that for free. So it's the journal, which is $40, but you get a free class, which is usually retailed at $20. So you get all that for free, and you'll get the class you own forever. And it's the mindful manifestation, powerful yin class that I made, and it has lo-fi music behind it. It has like a really nice playlist, so you'd own that class with the journal. So that's a nice ritual you can do if you're needing yoga and needing to connect to your body and needing, to really turn down the volume of external bullshit. Journaling and doing a simple yoga class it's just so healing. I mean, just doing those two things can completely change your evening for the better. I also recommend getting candles, setting the vibe, getting some Palo Santo, getting some essential oils, diffusing essential oils, incense, really creating an atmosphere that feels good for you. And if you don't have any of these things, go out to the dollar store, go to the thrift store, make a little solo artist date out of it, and have an intention. Okay, I need to get some candles, like make a day out of it. What do you need? What supplies do you need in order to create a very special and magical evening for you? It doesn't have to be this big ordeal, but just like making a nice intention and a day, like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, I'm going to get these things, because even the grocery store sells candles and incense and flowers and journals. You can get all that stuff at the food store. Live in abundance. You have the resources. The dollar store is like the best place ever. You can literally find everything at the dollar store. So yeah, all of that. With journaling, don't stress out too much about what you should be journaling about. Like, who the fuck cares? Just write what comes to mind, write things you're grateful for, write some things that you've been wanting to, maybe there's some things you want to buy, or maybe there's some things you just really want. Maybe there's some books you want to read, or maybe there's a supplement or a vitamin that you've been wanting to try because you feel like it'll help you heal in a certain way. Like, all that shit, write all that shit down, like just all the stuff that comes to mind. Maybe there's someone that you want to, get more vulnerable with and talk to. Like, write all this down. Nobody's reading your journal. It doesn't even matter. It only matters to you and your soul and your spirit. And when you sit down and journal, you're literally having like a safe therapy meeting session with your spirit guides, with your highest self, with your inner child. What does your inner child need in order to feel safe and like you're having fun, like for real, that isn't connected to social media, that isn't connected to hyper productivity or success or career or money? Because kids don't care about those things. I mean, now kids probably do care about social media, but I'm talking about like in the 90s and the early 2000s, before social media was a thing. What did we care about? What did we truly care about? What brought us joy? What brought us happiness? Those are the things that you should be doing on New Year's Eve, because chances are you can't leave your house, or you can't go out and do what you wanted to do years before, like going to bars or dancing or big gatherings and whatever. So what does your inner child and what does your inner adolescent teenager need in order to feel like you're having fun? Maybe that means you're just having a drink and watching a movie. That in itself, like setting the intention and like creating a nice little plan, doesn't have to be this big or thing. It's just like, what's going to make me feel good? What's going to excite me? There's nothing to be ashamed about if you're just watching Netflix, eating popcorn, and drinking a glass of wine on New Year's Eve, because that is a sacred kind of ritual and a ceremony. You light your candles, you have your incense, you have your sage or your Palo Santo. You can have your journal in front of you while you're watching a movie, while you're watching Netflix. And if anything comes up while you're watching the film or, just anything funny that comes up or anything that triggers you, or if it sparks a memory of anything, like that's kind of a cool practice to do. Last night I was watching Matthew McConaughey in Mud. Such a good movie. If you haven't watched that movie, it's on Amazon Prime for free. It's so good. It's so good. That's a beautiful movie to watch and journal, because it was bringing so many memories up for me. So also, let's go through some more questions and journal prompts that I wrote for you guys. This is all about like not intentions, but tweaks, like tweaks and adds into your life. Start where you are, meet yourself where you are, not where other people are on Instagram. So, what do you truly want right now in your life? It could be material, it could be non-material. What small behaviors and habits do you want to release that have been really just feeling like a burden to you? What small behaviors and habits do you really want to release? And then follow-up question, what small habits and new little adds to your routine would you like to incorporate? Nothing crazy. It doesn't mean you have to get a gym membership and go every day. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, okay, what small little things can you do in your day that's going to make you feel better physically, emotionally, spiritually? Listening to more, for me, this has been really small but big things that have been helping me, is not listening to so many podcasts that are people talking about business and career and stuff like that. Like I don't care about that shit anymore. Like I've had enough of that. I've had enough of talking about fucking hyper productivity and your business and making money, and it's just, at this point in my life, I don't care about that. What's helping me feel better physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and mentally, is listening to podcasts that are just people talking about, healing and Reiki and the energy upgrades and real shit, like real life shit that people have been through and how they got out of it, and therapy and body image and eating disorder stuff and addiction and all that. And also what's been helping me is adding listening to Alan Watts chill step mixes on YouTube and having, like, bringing music back into my life, because I know a couple episodes back I was talking about how I haven't been able to listen to music that easily recently because of how music can trigger the body and trigger the nervous system to go back in time, not in a good way, like triggering moments and experiences that have happened in the past that are linked to music you listen to in high school or artists that you listen to in high school or whatever, like listening to new music. So what's great about these Alan Watts chill step mixes is that there's really good chill step playing in the background, and then they have these powerful excerpts and little bites of Alan Watts lectures, and it's just like a nice thing to have playing in the background in your house. Like if you're cleaning and stuff, like I've been cleaning and packing and organizing and fucking just doing so much, and it's nice to have that playing, because it's like, it's not just music, it's also really beautiful things to remember, like, because if you're not in the mood to listen to a whole lecture, it can be very dry and there's no music and it can be kind of intense. The chill step music in the background really creates a new energy. So it's, how can you create a new energy? That's also a good question to ask yourself. Like if you're not feeling good in your house anymore, like, we all outgrow things. Our soul outgrows things. And it's normal to outgrow a place or a city. Like I outgrew Long Beach and where I'm living, and I'm pretty over it. I'm just ready to go back to Florida. And it's not that it's bad here. It's that my soul has outgrown it. My spirit has outgrown it and extracted all of the amazing, beautiful lessons and synchronicities and teachings and, downloads that I've received here. It's extracted everything from it like a straw, like, you know? And now I'm just like, okay, I got what I needed from here. I'm ready for the next chapter. I'm ready to timeline hop. It's not that this place sucks. It's that I've outgrown it and I'm up leveling. So maybe you are feeling like, your home doesn't feel the same anymore. You don't feel excited to go home anymore, or your room feels not that comfortable because you're just used to it. Move the furniture around. Get a new candle, get something cheap to put into your apartment. Go to the dollar store and get a new mug, get a new glass, get a new tablecloth, get a new blanket, anything. Like the smallest little things, you don't realize how these small little tweaks go such a long way. I'm always organizing and reorganizing and moving around furniture. I get that from my mom. My mom is always doing that. So I think that's something small to really incorporate in your sacred ritual of New Year's Eve. How can you change the energy of your apartment or your home in a small way? How can you change the feel, the vibe, the atmosphere in your physical environment, because that's going to transfer into your internal being, and that's going to excite you and make you feel excited. That's why it's so soul nourishing when you reorganize your altar or your record shelf or your bookshelf or your kitchen cabinets or whatever. It seems like such a mundane, stupid thing, but in reality it transfers in a big way. Okay, let's keep going. Is there a supplement or a product that you've been wanting to try but haven't? Maybe incorporate it in your life and see how it works with your body. What can I change in my mental health support system this year? What can I add? Who can I add to my support system? Is there a support group I'd like to seek out? Make that your goal. If it's 1 or 2 support groups a week, that can change your life, literally, even though they're Zoom. Make a ritual out of it. So before I go on my Zoom calls, I make my tea, I make a snack, I burn incense. Sometimes I'll take a couple hits of my CBD. Sometimes I'll pull a tarot card and just see, how I'm feeling emotionally. Sometimes I'll journal. And most of these Zoom groups also, they don't require you to have the video on, most of them. So you can literally be spread out on your floor or on your couch and be journaling while you're listening to people talk. And while you're talking, you don't have to worry about how you look. It's a beautiful thing. I can't express enough how important it is to incorporate some sort of virtual support group in your life. It is the most life-changing thing. And I was non-believing in that. I was a skeptic. I was like, how are Zoom groups gonna help me? And they really do. They really, really do. I still attend the Dharma recovery meeting that I went to in Philly because it's Zoom. And the options are endless now because everything is Zoom. If you go on dharmarecovery.org, they have the whole Google Docs spreadsheet that you can open up, and it tells you the times, it gives you the links of hundreds and hundreds of meetings. I mean, there's a meeting right now. You can literally just look it up. Okay, what next meeting? And it lists all the cities and it lists all the links, and you can even filter it by your time zone. So I will put that link in the show notes. All right, some more questions here. So it says, okay, do you want to get a therapist? Or do you want to get a new therapist? Make that your priority. Also, therapists offer these 15-minute free sessions, which if you go on Psychology Today and you just draft up an email and reach out to any therapist that you want, all therapists are basically offering telehealth, which is video sessions. Sorry, I'm having like a fucking brain, I don't know what's going on, a stroke. So talk to those therapists, reach out to them, and you can ask them, do you do 10 to 15 minute free sessions? And they're always going to say yes. All right, more questions to journal with. How can I be more useful with my time? What is taking me away from what truly matters? What relationships in my life are more important to me than productivity? What's more important to me than, toxic relationships or toxic ways of living? What's more important? What do you get out of those things? How can I enhance my mornings and evenings? So yeah, how can you enhance your mornings and evenings? Like, if you're feeling like you're rushing in the morning, or if you're feeling like anxious at night, how can you fix the vibe, fix the energy to make you feel more safe and secure and calm? That's a beautiful ritual to focus on as well. Like, create a ceremony about it. Like, when you wake up, what do? Can you create a sacred kind of feel to it? Get in your flow. Listen to what music or podcasts make you feel good. We all have those things we listen to in the morning, right? It should be something light. It shouldn't be anything too heavy, right? For me, I'd like to listen to meditation podcasts, and podcasts that are just more light and not talking about super heavy shit. That can wait, right? You just woke up. Let yourself get out of dream state. If you had some fucked up dreams, journal about them. Write about all your dreams. And that's another beautiful way of incorporating journaling into your life, is writing down all of your dreams that you remember. And if dreams are something you really enjoy, I recommend listening to this Jungian Life podcast. I talked about that a little bit on the last episode too. They always, at the end of the episode, they do a dream interpretation. So if you're feeling called to it, you can submit a dream to their website. And what they do is they read a dream from one of the listeners and then they analyze it. Really, really cool stuff. That's a fun thing to listen to before bed, It's bed related, it's sleep related. They have a very, very beautiful energy, these three Jungian analysts, and the guy's voice is so soothing and deep and just really calming. Sometimes I even listen to it when I go to sleep, and I go to sleep listening to it. What hobbies and interests truly bring you joy? What hobbies and interests truly bring you joy? What self-care rituals are you lacking right now? So this could be, maybe for me, for example, I'll just throw myself under the bus. Why not? I don't shower enough. Sometimes I just, I don't wash my hair every day, and I don't shower every day. I mean, I don't think all people shower every day, but last night I realized, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling kind of stuck energetically. What can I do? And I realized, I can take a hot shower. So I took a long, hot shower, and that helped me so much. I felt relaxed. I felt cleansed. And what they were saying in the Jungian podcast is, I loved how she said this. She was like, if you're stuck in a complex and you're stuck in a negative way of thinking, or you're reacting, or something's pissing you off, or something's triggering you, and something set you off and you're stuck in this toxic complex, this part of you that's not making you feel good. It's creating friction, it's creating tension in your body. She said, taking a hot bath can actually take you out of that complex. Taking a hot shower can take you out of a toxic complex. That's like so deep, but it's so simple, like you can really be trapped in a toxic triggering rut and feel like you're going to have a panic attack, and taking a hot shower and lighting a candle and making a cup of tea and laying with your legs up the wall in bed will completely take you out of it. So, okay, what tweaks can you do to your nourishment and movement routine to make you feel better? What tweaks can you do to your nourishment and movement routine to make you feel better? Very simple. What's working for me? What's not working for me? What would I like to incorporate more into my diet? Would I like to eat more raw vegetables or whatever the fuck it is, Would I like to drink more water? Because everybody's pretty dehydrated and I don't drink enough water. I know that for sure. So I'm going to try to drink more water, and even if that means like buying those flavor drops, like whatever it takes for me to drink more water, I'm going to try to do that. What's the kind of movement that makes you feel naturally high after you do it? Not depleted or angry or uncomfortable or sore. Like, it's okay to be sore sometimes because you want to challenge your body. You want to strengthen it. But if you're feeling depleted and fucked physically and mentally after a workout, like, is that workout really going to help you thrive? Are you going to go home after that workout, or after you're finished that workout, are you really going to want to like do work on your computer or clean the apartment or do whatever you need to do, make calls, emails? Or are you going to be too tired from your workout and beating yourself up? So what's the kind of movement that gives you a naturally high feeling after you do it? For me, I realized, working out less actually is helping me heal. And my body hasn't changed that much. I mean, I think I've pretty much stayed the same. Like, I look the same. I have noticed that my body composition has changed a little bit. Like, my lower body feels a little bit bigger, but I also have body dysmorphia, so who the fuck knows if this is true. But I feel like my legs are bigger, but other areas of my body are smaller, which is weird. Like, the body's always changing, so we're not going to be the same size forever. And it's normal to change our workout routine, and it's okay if you do that, because who knows, maybe you'll actually find that your body reaches your physical goals, whatever they are, by doing less, by just sitting outside in the sun and going for a walk. Maybe that's going to help your nervous system heal. And if you're trying to lose weight, or if you're trying to fix your sciatica or an injury, like, doing less really can create more healing in your life. It's all about quality, not quantity, and intention, not pressure. Yeah. I hope those questions helped. I definitely enjoyed figuring out what I wanted to share with you as far as journal prompts, because sometimes we get stuck and we're like, well, what do I journal about, And for me, it's easy because I just like to freestyle journal and bitch and complain about shit in my life, and just whatever comes to mind. Journaling for me is a form of self-therapy. I'm my own therapist when I'm in my journal, and I create a sacred ritual every time I journal. I have my tea, I have my joint, I have my essential oil, I have music playing in the background or whatever, and it's just, you can make everything sacred. You can make everything special, not just on New Year's, but you can make everything you do in your life. You can make doing the laundry a sacred ritual. You know, you can enhance everything you do in your life because we have so much at our fingertips. You know, we have podcasts and music, and we can learn all sorts of things from YouTube. We can listen to lectures for free. We can listen to these amazing talks for free. We can listen to these amazing smart people who put out free content. You know, I'm going to go through a few of my favorite podcasts right now, so I'll share if you're looking for any new ones. But, okay. So I've been really loving Lex Federman, or Lederman, sorry. Lex Lederman's podcast. Or no, Friedman. I'm so dumb. Lex Friedman. He has the Lex Friedman podcast, and he talks about life and philosophy with these college professors who are experts and just geniuses. They talk about love, relationships, science, aliens, social media, AI, technology. I love the astrology podcast. I love Ghost of a podcast, all about astrology. I love the Shamangelic Healing podcast with Anahata Ananda. I love the Why Won't You Date Me podcast with Nicole Byer. She's so fucking funny. I love the Mental Illness Happy Hour podcast with Paul Gilmartin. If you are struggling with body image and mental health just in general, the episode with Nikki Glazier is really good. And all of the episodes are, I've been listening to that podcast for over a year now, and it's really been such a beautiful thing to put on if you're feeling alone, because the way that he interviews is just so deep. It's almost like a deep therapy session with someone, and it's so validating. This Jungian Life, that's the Jungian podcast I was talking about. Good for You is a podcast by Whitney Cummings, very funny. The Lifestylist podcast by Luke Story, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Almost 30, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. The Meta Hour with Sharon Salzberg, amazing podcast, love her. Being Well with Dr. Rick Hansen. I'm a really big fan of Dr. Rick Hansen. He's amazing. He's so fucking cool. And the 10% Happier podcast is good with Dan Harris. And then there was one other one that I just started listening to, and it's called Living in This Queer Body. And it's all about mental health, body image, body acceptance, trauma, healing wounds, all that. So I'm sharing all these because I felt called to. I felt like maybe some of you guys have been wanting that. I don't know. But I hope that this episode helped you. Looking through my notes, and I don't think I have anything else, but I'm sure something else will come up after I edit it that I'll probably forget. But anyways, make your New Year's, sacred and feel good, even if that means you're just sitting on the couch with your animal, with your pets, watching Netflix. You can literally make that such a magical experience. It's all about creating that energy in your life, and let go of this attachment to do, and let's just try to be and live a little bit more instead of this external force sucking the life out of us. So I'm going to leave you with the song that me and my friend Matt Bellina made together. It's called This City. If you haven't listened to the full Big Ordeal, you can listen to the poetry, the spoken word poetry, and the whole thing was debuted at the end of my 12/12 portal birthday episode, a couple episodes back. So enjoy. Happy New Year 2021. Here we come. Make everything sacred and magical, and we will talk soon. Love you guys.
won't spark the divinity within me. Alright. This city won't spark the divinity within me. Alright. But now there's only ashes and gloom as I melt alone in this hotel room. No appetite, but a starving mental fight. No appetite, but I got a starving mental fight. It's crazy, I found myself and lost myself all in one whole night. Then you can truly move on. Yeah, I feel so free to be wrong. 'Cause then you can truly move on. Without the attachment or expectation of a certain outcome.
We'll get back to your music shortly, but first, did you know that prescription prices are different at different pharmacies? You could literally drive across the street and get a different price. That's crazy. But with GoodRx, you can instantly compare prices at every pharmacy in your neighborhood and save up to 80%. You're probably thinking there's a catch, right? Nope. It's 100% free and can save you money whether you have insurance or not. In fact, it can often beat your copay. Download the GoodRx app today and start saving. GoodRx is not insurance. Who are you texting?
My therapist.
You text with your therapist?
Text, video chat, call. Yep.
That sounds too easy. How did you find her?
I just went to betterhelp.com/save. She's a licensed therapist and it's all online. I connect when it's convenient for me and don't waste time driving anywhere. Plus, it's affordable.
I wonder if I should try it.
It's great to talk to someone in confidence. She's helped me sort out quite a few things. And right now you save 10% off the first month when you go through betterhelp.com/save.
betterhelp.com/save. Got it.